Welcome back, adventurers, to the Dangers and Dragons podcast. I'm Adrian.
And I'm Julia.
And we are thrilled to be your guides on this journey through
the wildest,
craziest,
most epic stories out there.
Each day, we bring you a new adventure.
A quest that will leave you breathless.
Or a tale so strayed.
We'll be questioning everything you thought you knew.
So strap in, folks.
Get ready.
Because we're diving headfirst into a story.
That's going to leave you hooked.
Today,
we're headed
straight into the heart of 1692 Salem.
Now, when you think of Salem,
oh boy,
what comes to mind?
Witch trials.
Superstition. A time when logic and reason took a back seat.
And right in the middle of this historical pressure cooker
lands our protagonist,
a brilliant scientist.
Their time machine
sputtering after a crash landing.
Talk about bad timing, right?
I mean, can you imagine?
A person of science
dropped into a world ruled by
fear and suspicion.
It's like oil and water.
What happens when those two worlds collide?
Well, that's exactly what we're about to find out.
Now, this scientist is stranded.
Their time machine busted.
And they need to find this super rare mineral.
To fix it.
Not something you'd pick up at the local general store in 1692.
Can you imagine trying to explain a smartphone back then?
They'd probably think you were
a witch.
Possessed by demons.
Exactly.
It's a recipe for disaster.
So what does our time traveler do?
Go undercover, of course.
Ditch the lab coat.
The futuristic gadgets.
And adopt a simpler persona.
A folksy kind of vibe.
Fade in
a community that's already on edge.
Suspicious of anyone who's different.
It's a constant tightrope walk.
Hiding their knowledge.
Their desperation to get home.
All while trying to not get burned at the stake.
And amidst all this chaos,
our time traveler stumbles upon an unlikely ally.
A woman.
Accused of witchcraft.
But not just any accused witch.
This is Sarah.
A healer.
An herbalist. A woman whose knowledge of the natural world
might be the key to our time traveler's escape.
I love this.
It's like
it flips the script on our whole idea of
fragraness.
Right.
Here's Sarah.
In tune with nature.
In a way that most people in 1692
couldn't even fathom.
And yet, she's labeled a witch.
It really makes you think.
Doesn't it?
And what's even more fascinating
is the bond that forms between these two women.
Both outsiders in their own way.
Then literally out of time.
The other ostracized by her community.
It's a powerful connection.
And they form this partnership.
A true collaboration.
The time traveler brings their scientific knowledge.
Sarah.
Her deep understanding of the local landscape.
The hidden nooks and crannies.
Where a rare mineral just might be found.
It wasn't all smooth sailing, though.
Oh, definitely not.
They faced their fair share of dangers.
Prejudice.
The story doesn't shy away from the harsh realities of that time.
But it's through those struggles,
those moments of vulnerability,
that their bond truly deepens.
They rely on each other
to survive.
And eventually their search leads them
to a hidden cave.
The potential hiding place
of the mineral they desperately need.
It's a glimmer of hope.
A hard-won victory.
But just when they think they might be in the clear,
oh no.
Enter the constable.
The embodiment of 1692, suspicion and authority.
He's been on their trail.
Convinced they're up to something sinister.
And now he catches them red-handed.
With the time machine.
The strange tool.
Oh boy, can you imagine that confrontation?
It's intense. Oh, it's chaos.
A chase.
Struggle.
A shot fired.
Gets caught in the crossfire.
Can you imagine the weight of that moment for the time traveler?
I mean, to find this incredible connection.
This ally.
And to have it ripped away just like that.
It's heartbreaking.
It reminds us that even in the most fantastical stories,
the stakes are real.
There's loss.
There's pain.
And our time traveler is forced to make this impossible choice.
Stay and risk capture.
Or flee back to their own time.
Alone.
It's a brutal decision.
And the story doesn't shy away from the
guilt. The grief
that weighs on our time traveler.
Back in their own time.
Heartbroken.
With a time machine too damaged.
To risk another jump.
It seems like the story might be over.
But then we get this twist.
That crumpled note.
Slipped into the time traveler's hand during the escape.
A message of hope.
Sarah urging the time traveler to go.
Assuring them that she'll find her own way back.
It's a testament to Sarah's strength.
Her resilience.
Even when facing unimaginable danger.
And there's that clue, too.
Right.
That tiny sliver of the iridium isotope.
Clinging to the time machine.
Stained with Sarah's blood.
It's a symbol.
A beacon.
A reminder that Sarah is out there.
Somewhere in the vastness of time.
It's a long shot.
A gamble against fate.
But fueled by guilt and grief.
And that sliver of hope.
The time traveler pours everything into repairing the time machine.
It's incredible, isn't it?
The lengths we go to for those we care about.
The risks we're willing to take.
When the odds are stacked against us.
And remember, the time machine is barely holding together.
Who knows what dangers await? In another, even more distant past.
It's a leap of faith.
A desperate plunge into the unknown.
And after weeks,
maybe even months of work,
the time machine sputters back to life.
The tension must have been palpable.
Stepping back into that rickety machine.
Knowing not only their own life is at stake,
but potentially the fragile thread of history itself.
And then a blinding
like the own jarring jolt.
And the time traveler finds himself
not back in their lab,
but in a small, cozy cottage.
The aroma of herbs.
A crackling fire.
It's a world away from the sterile environment of their lab.
Earthy.
Grounded.
And there by the fire,
tending a bubbling cauldron,
stands Sarah.
Older now.
Streaks of gray in her hair.
But with that same familiar strength in her eyes.
Sarah survived.
And not only survived,
but carved out a life for herself.
In this new time,
a painting on the wall
reveals the date.
1715.
It's a testament to her adaptability.
Her resourcefulness.
She doesn't question how the time traveler found her.
Just offers a cup of tea.
A wry smile.
Took you long enough, she says.
It's a homecoming.
But not the one we expected.
It really makes you think about what home truly means.
Is it the era we're born into?
The technology.
Or is it about finding those deep connections?
Those kindred spirits?
That make any time or place
feel like home.
These two women.
From completely different worlds.
Finding solace and belonging in each other's company.
It's beautiful.
They become guardians of their little corner of history.
Using their combined knowledge to heal.
To teach.
A scientist and a healer.
Challenging the expectations of both their pasts and their futures.
It's an incredible image.
A messy, unpredictable life.
But a life lived on their own terms.
Dedicated to making a difference.
And it all started with a crash landing.
A chance encounter.
A stubborn refusal to give up on someone they cared about. Makes you wonder, doesn't it?
It really does.
What would it be like?
To find yourself
adrift in time.
Could you adapt?
Survive?
Even thrive?
You know, the story really flips the script.
It does.
On how we think about home.
Our time traveler goes back.
Not to their own time.
But to find this new sense of belonging.
In a place
they never expected.
And with Sarah, no less.
Someone who's also out of sync with her time.
Right. It's like...
home isn't just a place.
But a feeling.
A shared understanding.
Synapsis.
Sometimes.
The greatest adventures.
Don't lead us back to where we started.
But to somewhere.
We never could have imagined.
And who knows? One of these stories.
Will spark an adventure.
Of your own.
That's the beauty of the Dangers and Dragons podcast.
We get to explore these incredible tales.
Let them take root.
In our imaginations.
Each day.
New story.
A new adventure.
A new journey.
Into the heart of what it means to be human.
If you enjoyed today's journey through time,
be sure to
hit that subscribe button.
And join us for the next episode
of the Dangers and Dragons podcast.
We'll be back tomorrow.
With another thrilling tale. Another mind-bending mystery.
Until then,
keep exploring.
Keep questioning.
And never stop believing in the power
of a good story.
See you next time, adventurers.